to the expectations of the program. And if you do that, then you'll enjoy yourself. And I hope that since I have 4 courses with you, I'm hoping that I'll be delighted to be dealing with people who are finding worth in what they're doing, and that it will truly be a big experience. So I want to do the devotion, then I'll hand over to the coordinator for some preliminaries. Today's devotional focuses on Joseph's transformation from pride to humility. And my background is deliberate. The background on my screen is deliberate. That I was standing, behind me is me. I was standing at the top of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, where I was doing some courses. And I was looking across where you have all those graves, and where when the trumpet shall sound, people will walk from those graves. But that's not the point. The point is, aren't there things around us that are incapable of explanation, that you will never understand? And that's why humility becomes very important. So Joseph's transformation from pride to humility, by recognizing God's role in his abilities. I am a professor of research methods and statistics, but I know it's not about Ayiro, it's God. So by Joseph recognizing God's role in his abilities, Joseph finds favor with Pharaoh and is elevated to power. I'm saying that those of us who put on the apron of humility, you'll be exalted in a very special way as you embark on this program. And I'll be talking more about the program later. This is a devotion. Now, his story reminds us of the blessings that come when we embrace humility. So my cardinal call to this class is that each one of us will embrace humility, the virtue of humility. And the scripture is in Genesis 41:16. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, "It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace." Remember the tribulations Joseph went through. And remember Joseph in the pit. Remember Joseph as a slave. Remember Joseph in the palace. Remember the temptation by the Pharaoh's wife and him being thrown in prison. And he meets somebody there and tells this guy, "When you go out, don't forget me." So this guy tells the king, "There's somebody in prison there who will come and tell you what will happen in Egypt when they had all those calamities." And so when Joseph faces the king, the Pharaoh, he says, "It is not me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace." Now, that is the highest stretch of humility. Joseph did not say, "It is me." So Professor Ayiro is not saying, "It's me who's going to make you understand research methods and statistics." No, it's God. So my question is, have you ever felt like your talents or abilities were all your own? Once a young man full of pride, you remember what Joseph did with his brothers? Joseph had to learn the hard way that every gift comes from God. After years of suffering, betrayal, and imprisonment, Joseph is brought before Pharaoh to interpret a dream. So instead of claiming the glory for himself, Joseph humbly says, "It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace." Genesis 41:16. His words reflect a heart transformed by humility. So let us remember, it is not by our might, it's not by our brilliance, no, it's not by our richness. No, it is only but God. So how often do we face situations where we would take credit for our success? You reflect on it yourself. Joseph shows us that true wisdom begins with acknowledging that everything we have comes from God. And that's the mindset I want you to have in this class. Those of us who will humble themselves will cruise through these classes with flying colors and graduate in the 18 months that the university has committed itself to be able to help you. So when we surrender our pride and rely on Him, God works through us in ways we could never imagine. So what would your life look like if you trusted God with your gifts? Joseph's humility earned him respect almost as a king and led to his appointment as second in command over all of Egypt. Can you imagine that a Jewish person became second in command of the nation of Egypt? So his story encourages us to release our need for control and allow God to work through us. Are there areas in your life where you must let go of pride? I pose to you. Trust that when you do, God's plans for you will unfold in ways beyond your imagination. And if we had time, I can go through many instances in my life where it's just amazing what the Lord has done and continues to do in my life. So I'm giving you a secret weapon, humility. And I want us to take a moment today to reflect on your talents and abilities. Are you hiding, or are you holding on to pride, thinking they are your own doing? No, please no. Joseph's story teaches us humility is the key to unlocking God's full purpose in our lives. So surrender your gifts to God, trusting Him to guide how they are used. And so this week and throughout this program, consider where to step aside and allow God's power to shine through your humility. That is my prayer for all of you. That's my biggest prayer, that we shall step aside and allow God's power to shine through our humility. And so I'm wishing you all the best. This is a very demanding program. It is tedious, but this program
Is it my network or Prof?
I lost him too.
Oh, I thought it's me. Sometimes you go silent because you're not so sure whether you are the one or the speaker. So I think Prof has been able to be there as he comes back. I think I don't know what your takeaway points. Initially, I thought I'm the one who is getting lost, but you can put there your takeaway points from the reflection that Prof has actually given us today as he comes back. what I take away points, and we have more than about 15 people not in class, so we need to bring them in class as we begin this session. Let's type, what is your takeaway point? As I hope, Walter, Sylvia, Ken, Desiree, all of you are able to come to introduce Prof. So he dropped off again. I think Prof dropped off, so he'll be coming in. But let's type our takeaway. I don't know, Dr. Njuguna, if you are on, you can help me reach out to Prof, if you don't mind. Dr. Njuguna, I know you are there. Please, help me reach out to Prof. But meanwhile, let's get out our takeaway points.
Can we?
Okay,
over
Prof is
you,
back.
Carol.
All right, sorry, we lost you at one point, so we were looking forward to your back, but we had already some people who have given their reflection on what you had said. Just humility is the key experience, and I think you'll take it on when you begin your class. So I think all of us have had Prof in his reflection, but he will come back to his reflection to think back, and when he will take up. I would like to request us to now turn into introducing our facilitator for this particular course this evening or this morning, depending on your time. And as you keep typing your reflection back, it will be nice to know who the instructor is. I know you already know is your vice chancellor, but who is our vice chancellor? I want to pick up a few people. We have Mr. Walter Mongare, who is right now in New York. He will be taking us through. We'll also have Dr. Ken. Ken is also picking up. I think we don't want to do many of them, but Ken, I would call him Kenneth. Kenneth is a full professor, not full professor, but a senior lecturer at Oxford University in England and in the Department of Theology. So he'll also be introducing Prof. Then we shall have Desiree, who has never known anything about Kenya, but has heard about Professor. Let us know what you know about Prof. Then we shall have Sylvia Muchuli, working in the President's office, picking up introduction. Let me welcome Honorable Walter Mongare. Please take it up with you. Introduce Prof in your own way, followed by Dr. Ken, and then Desiree and then Sylvia. Thank you. What are you on? Yes, there you go. You can unmute. Unmute.
Unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are a little low
from your gadget.
You are very the sound low.
How is the sound?
It's still chini kidogo, but we can hear you.
Can I be heard now?
Yeah, you're okay.
Check your mic.
That's better.
All right. I will try to be very, very brief and loud at the same time. Thank you very much, Prof, for the word that you've shared with us. I will go straight away to my thoughts of who Laban, Professor Laban Ayiro is. In my opinion, this class. Can I be heard? Yes. Okay. Greetings from New York. And I will be very brief and very specific as we try to welcome the man who needs very little introduction because His name is bigger than his personality. And so Professor Laban Ayiro, for those of us who know him, we term him as a very distinguished leader.
Help me control.
I stopped because there is interference. Can I be heard?
Yeah, you can be heard, Walter.
Thank you. Then I can
Yes,
progress.
it's okay.
Professor Ayiro, to us, is a distinguished leader, known for his impactful role in the academia space and the administration, both in Kenya and globally. The professor we are talking about is a man who has carved a niche for himself through exemplary leadership in educational institutions and his commitment to transformative education practices. And we are a testimony of enjoying that transformation as we are in this class, because this is what Prof stands for: transformative, exemplary impact in whatever he's doing in the academia and in administration. Prof is celebrated for his visionary approach, very strategic in his thinking, an inspiration to many of us, and a man who's constantly focusing on change. Of course, his academic background with expertise in areas like educational administration and leadership has allowed him to drive significant reforms in curricula and research methodologies, purely inviting innovation and academic vigor in his work. Beyond what we can term as administrative achievements, Prof is a prolific author and researcher who has contributed immensely and extensively to scholarly work that influences educational policies and practices both in and outside Kenya. His global engagements, of course, we all know about his speaking ability and being on international and global platforms to speak on conferences, and basically a man who's a collaborator with various educational bodies. This further underscores his influence as a thought leader committed to advancing education standards and development. In summary, and as I conclude, Prof's leadership is marked by his dedication to enhancing educational systems, not just processes. His strategic vision and his ability to inspire us and the rest of us is actually a testimony of what you call meaningful change. And therefore, to us, is not just an influencer in Kenya. To us, is not just an influence, but a significant influence that is to be shared globally. That is, in my opinion, just a glimpse of a man who's a thought leader in leadership and policy framework. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Walter, for that introduction. I can imagine that, but thank you so much. I will not add anything. I would like to ask the next speaker, Dr. Ken, all the way from Oxford University, England. And I'll request Mishak, I would like you, I'm using a phone, so help me spotlight Prof as they speak to him with the speaker, if you are able to do that, unless I give them my host rights. But I want to welcome one all the way from Oxford University, a full-time lecturer, senior lecturer at Oxford.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Walter, for the time. Thank you, Prof and Dr. Caro. I think one of the greatest things that drew me to this course is you, Professor Laban Ayiro, just specifically based on your experience and global impact. And Caro, one of the things that Caro requested that I do, just to speak about you as a researcher, a scholar, and impact. And everybody will attest to what I would say in terms of from his very latest book that he is launching, Educational Research Methods, a Functional Approach. That tells you the kind of person you are interacting with. You know, a professor of research methods and statistics, with 5 degrees and counting from Kenya, South Africa, Canada. And the scope of his degrees will tell you the kind of person that we'll be listening to. He has degrees in business management, international relations, entrepreneurship, education, finance, economics and planning, chemistry and mathematics. That tells you the kind of person we are engaging with. A well-published, if you look at the links that I've set up where I got these sources that I'm speaking about, you realize he has published innumerable book chapters and peer review articles. I think of one specific attention will be his engagement with the National External Evaluator of the competency-based curriculum. And majority will say that is one thing that every Kenyan desire to see an evaluation, and that policy. Prof unpacked it, and you can find that on his inaugural lecture, I think is in 2021, policy study on model for education. Prof has done a lot to do with the nomadic communities in Kenya. He has done research on social entrepreneurship, written a lot on emotional intelligence, transformational leadership, and things to do with TVET institution. Globally, is one person that you'd want to listen to. He's done comparative studies, not just in Kenya, but in Uganda and Tanzania. One thing that captivated my imagination was especially the work that he did on repositioning Africa in global knowledge production and how that can inform us and the new generation. Friends, it is not easy to be a senior Fulbright scholar and to take your knowledge all the way to America. Prof has been a senior Fulbright scholar and teaching the same thing that he is teaching us today, the paradigm of mixed method research, myths and realities. I was privileged to join this afternoon's Ethics and Leadership series, and we could see how Prof is even a well sought after educator. Asheshi University and the MasterCard Foundation called on him. And in that forum, I heard that Prof in August 2024 was honored by the Institute of Certified Secretaries for his impact in the area of governance. Today, I must testify that we sit with a buffet of knowledge. Above all, not just a buffet of knowledge, a man who can teach us humility. And Prof, I'm here because of what Daystar is becoming and want to learn from a man who has gone higher in corporate higher education. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you so much. Sorry, I lost up the internet, but I can't add more. I think we are still introducing Prof as you know him. Thank you so much, Dr. Ken, for introducing VC. All the way from Princeton University to Oxford to Daystar, giving you inspiration and everybody else that this is a program that is worth taking. Let me allow one from South Africa, Desiree Ramaholo, introduce our structure today.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, we can.
Yes. My name is Desiree Ramokolo, South African by nationality. I'm here in Uzbekistan teaching lower secondary science. I started last year in October. So today I've been invited to introduce Professor Ayiro Laban. Yes, and from what I've heard and what I've read about him is that he's a Kenyan academic who comes from humble beginnings. He was spotted by a family friend who sponsored him, and he soared from there. That's where he soared and became his best. So he has 5 degrees from different universities around the world, one of which is my alma mater, University of the Witwatersrand in South Africa. So I'm here to get my payback. Okay, so, and then he started his career as a chemistry teacher. and then was a principal in several schools. And I read that he was the best principal in Lubina Boys, and they named a dormitory after him, Prof. Ayiro dorm, because he was the best they've ever had, the best principal they've ever had. And then on top of that, he has several publications, more than 20 publications under his belt. And I've heard about him from my Kenyan colleagues here in Uzbekistan. One of them is Samuel Nyabere, who did the course last year, who did the program last year, first cohort last year. And he tells me Prof is a selfless man. And I remember he used to tell me that, oh, I have a class on Sunday. Oh, guys, I can't come out. I have to wake up in the morning. We have a class at 5 a.m. So I was like, this guy, okay, not guy, sorry, professor. This professor is
Yeah.
vice chancellor, and he's waking up in the morning, taking his Sundays off for you guys. No, this guy really loves you, devoted to his job. So that's why I'm here. I'm not a good speaker. I'm not very good with words. And already Dr. Ayuya is giving me this challenge. So thank you very much. This is what I need. And I hope everyone is as excited as I am to be here. If you're not, you should be, because as I'm reading up on everyone, and especially Professor Laban, yeah, we are going to get our money's worth. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Desiree. I think you've done a lot of research on Prof, and that was really, really something kind. I think that things that would have not even said who are in Kenya, you seem to have really dug so much about him, and that is really interesting to know someone from outside could do that. And therefore, finally, I think that should be the finally. I think I want to introduce Sylvia Muchuli, all the way from the Office of the President, working very close to the President. And I would like you to introduce Professor from your point of knowledge of who he is.
Thank you very much. And it is really an honor to have this moment to say something about Prof. I'm one of the perhaps few in this class who have directly interacted with him. So I'll speak from a very personal point of view. I met Prof when I was the CEO of the Public Relations Society, and we were working together on a program. And I just want to say that the minute you meet Prof, the first thing that comes to your mind is humility. That, in fact, the first time I met him, I remember asking someone, is he really the Vice Chancellor, you know? Because I was like, this guy is so humble. But I think this comes from his background, having been raised in Kibera slums, where he grew up with his father, who was a driver, and a very strong mother. I think the influence of the mother is very, very present. And the thing that I have realized, having known Prof for some time, is that he's extremely driven, extremely focused, and extremely determined. I think if you see where Daystar has come, how far Daystar has come, it speaks to this determination. And one of the other things that I really appreciate about him, aside from his humility, is his strong sense of humor. Prof is one person who you will just have to have a laugh around him. And I know he comes off as a very serious person, and I'm sure some of you who've never met him are wondering, can he really crack a joke? You wait and see. And also, I really love the fact that he's really committed to a change agenda. He's not about the talk, he's about doing it. Because a lot of times when you have academics, sometimes people go into the theory, but the practice is not there. But Prof is about getting it done. He has a deep understanding of the issues relating to poverty and how to drive change and how to make change happen. And I think we are so honored and privileged to be sitting at his feet in this course. I want to speak a little bit about his family background. As a God-fearing man, Prof is a real leader of his family. He's a strong family man. And what is so interesting is his background in terms of family. First of all, I don't know if you guys know that he grew up as an only child and he married an only child. So imagine that combination of an only child marrying an only child. So I think they made a pact that they must have children, and not just to have like 1 or 2 children. They ended up with 7 children. And the interesting part about Prof, and I was just reading up about him, is that he's a very devoted husband and considers his wife as his sounding board. Very, very few African men will actually acknowledge that their wives are their sounding boards, and that should tell you a little bit about him. And also that he has also gone through his share of challenges. In 2013, he lost his daughter. And what really has touched me about that story is the fact that he actually adopted the young daughter of his daughter, who was 4 years at the time. You think about it, a grandfather choosing to take up the role of a father. That really speaks volumes about him. And I just want to say that it's also important to note that aside from his own family of 7 children, he also has adopted another 2 children who were orphaned children. So that tells you that Prof is a man with a big heart, a man who loves family, and a man who is leading from the front. I also just want to just give you one small snippet, which really I appreciated, is the fact that he's very close to his children, and they do a lot of projects together. He has demonstrated his love for books and passed on his love for books to his children. And currently, they're actually building a library in his rural home together. So that just gives you a snippet of the kind of man we are going to be interacting with. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to ask you to join me in acknowledging a man who has done a lot and who it's going to be an honor and a privilege to learn from as we go through this course. Thank you so much, Prof, for making time in your very busy schedule to be one of our professors. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I have nothing to add. Professor Laban Ayiro, welcome.
Is the coordinator? Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. And I really cannot express my gratitude for the kind words and affection that I have listened to this evening. And I hope we can together, turn you into something different. This morning, I went to visit one of the leading psychiatrists in the country, Dr. Frank Njenga. I went with my members of my psychology department. We want to do collaboration. But there is a connection between me and him because we went through a day school in high school. And Dr. Frank Njenga was my head boy. When he was in Form 6, I was in Form 1. So we have a very strong connection. And he said something very interesting. He said that the problem today is our young people don't have mentors. Somebody walks into class to teach research methods, gives all kinds of definitions, and walks out, and then the students are supposed to memorize and regurgitate them. Njenga is quite advanced in age now, but he tells me he goes to the office not to go to the wards, but to have young psychiatrists sit under his feet so that he can take them into those dark caves of psychiatry, and they come out extremely strong. So that's what I hope to do. I hope to engage your minds. I hope to demystify what research methods is, and also policy formulation, policy analysis. I don't know whether I'll have time, but I would have really loved to carry this class through statistics, because I see many students loathe, they hate, they fear, they are apprehensive about statistics, and yet that is the easiest thing you can learn. And when I was at Moy University with my PhD students, many of them were from the social sciences. They had no idea of statistics, and they dreaded statistics. Many of them had not touched a laptop, a keyboard, and I was teaching them the use of ICT in instructional pedagogy. And by the time we were finishing those courses, they were so fulfilled that statistics is fun. And many of them then got hooked to computers. And when we meet, that's all they remember, that you made me love using my computer. So we hope we can do that. And I want you to just carry that apron, that sweater, that mindset of humility, and the rest will be nothing to think about. So I would like to start off our class. I am not going to give you a course outline now. I'll give you a course outline when we are midway through, because I don't want you to be imprisoned by a course outline. I just want you to enjoy the treasures of research methodology and its application in real life. And then after that, we'll give you a course outline as we start giving you small quizzes. I am a product of the American system, so I believe very strongly in multiple choices for my quizzes. I don't like essays, because if they're essays, I'll ask you to write term papers. So me, I'll give you my exams. The 30% exams are mainly multiple choices. Not mainly, almost all. Even the calculations in statistics, I give you multiple choices. And I know how valuable those are. I also want us to, I really want us to have a mindset that tells us that we must be transformed. So you're not doing a master's for the sake of a piece of paper. You're doing a master's because you want to be transformed. And you want God to lift you to another level. That's why the other day I was with Walter in your class here, and I told him, I want you to come in my class. He wanted to do some other masters. I said, no, I want you to do this masters, and you'll find it very valuable in life. But also, I want to deliberately ground him. And I know his potential, so much potential. But if he has somebody who can hedge him in and encourage him, he can become anything. In the next 5 years, he'll be Dr. So-and-so and doing immense things, given the talents that God has given him. So I would like to, I want to start with very simple approach to this course. And some of us might wonder, but why are we starting with this very obvious principles? But that's my style. I would like to appetize you. And then from there, we will get a little more serious if need be. I don't know whether, Carol, everybody is seeing my slides.
You're seeing,
yeah.
you can just put it in the presentation mode, but we are seeing.
Yeah. So and this is what I want you to do, by the way. All my presentations will be uploaded on your portal. I believe in disseminating knowledge. After a course like today, I'm going to give you reading material to be uploaded. And I will tell you what I want you to do with that reading material, because this is problem-based learning. But I always encourage students to scribble their notes along, because then it reinforces the learning process. And really, I want to start off by talking about the process of research and learning how research is done. So by the end of this module, I hope you can state your definition of research. You should be able to state that. I'm hoping that you can name the different formats where you can find reports of research. You can identify your reasons for wanting to read research, and be able to conceptualize the 7 steps that researchers undertake when they conduct research studies. Notice I am very deliberate with statements like state your definition, name different formats, identify your reasons for wanting to read research, and name the 7 steps that researchers undertake when they conduct research studies. I want on the onset to let you know that this course is about leadership and policy studies. So actually what I am going to cover with you is not research per se, but it will be public administration research methods. So I'm doing this research from the point of view that you are all in different sectors, and I'll want you to apply the research you're learning into those sectors. By the end of this module also, you should be able to use the definition of research to assess whether a journal article reports a research study or some other type of scholarly work. So you should be able to have reached a level of differentiation just by your understanding of research. I expect you to identify the major sections that appear in a typical research report. So introduction, literature review, methodology, discussion, and so on. And know where to look for the steps of the research process that are reported within the major sections of our research report. I'm saying this because we are not just doing research for the sake of research. We are doing research so that we can compete for proposals. We can look at the TORs of a consultancy, and we are able to pull out the major sections that would then make us win that proposal. So this is baby stuff. What is research? And I don't want you to memorize anything here. I just want you to understand what is research. It's a process of steps used to collect, analyze information in order to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. So note is a process, and we are engaged in collecting and analyzing information. I'm not calling it data. This is information, so as to increase our understanding of the issue at hand. That's why we do research, or that's what research is. And I want you to be clear in your mind that there are 3 general steps. The first one, you must pose a question. Why is there so much poverty in African cities? Why is the democratization of the African states a myth and not a reality? Why is the incidence and the prevalence of cancer on the rise in the world. So you pose a question. Then you collect data to answer the question. Then you present an answer to the question. And you'll have contributed to our knowledge and understanding of that area of distress that you are researching on. Now, where do you find research? You find it in class projects. You find it in master's theses or dissertations or PhDs. You find it in policy reports. You find it in journal articles. Sometimes you find it orally with our grandfathers and our aunts. So those of us in Kenya, pre-wedding phenomenon like cohort among our people in Rift Valley, or circumcision among the Luhya in Western Kenya. You find a lot of research there, and you can engage at that level or in that space to find something to do for research. And even other odd ones, like when I was in Moi, I supervised a lady at her PhD, and she was looking at the phenomenon of night running among the Gusii people, the Kisii people in Nyanza. Quite interesting. She posed questions, why is this practice still going on when lights are everywhere, when electricity is in the villages, there's still night running? What is the essence of it? And I asked her, but how are we going to collect data? So we went into modalities of data collection, and a very interesting study came out. We also noted that we had to make reference to West Africa and South America, where those practices are prevalent. So you find research in many aspects. Now, why should you read research? Why should you do research? By the way, can I emphasize here, you have come to do your master's program basically because of research. Because the other areas of study with the high penetration of internet and information, you can more or less read on how to open the heart. And somebody would think you are now a surgeon. Of course, you're not a surgeon, but you have that information on how the heart is opened up and how it is, brought back, stitched afterwards. Research is really what takes you to the level of understanding what surgery is all about, what education and the learning in the classroom is all about, what mental health is all about, what psychiatry, psychology, what banking is all about. So to get into the grips and the mechanics of what goes on, you then get into research. So one of the takeaways I want you to learn is this, that research is an art. Research is an art. And what Ayiro is going to try to do with you is to lift up your artistry. So you have that level of artistry of conducting research, and that will give you the advantage as a master's graduate or a PhD graduate. That's how you win those high-level proposals. That's how the World Bank or UNICEF or the Kenya government will employ you to do all those studies and give findings. That's why I was picked by the World Bank and UNESCO to do the pilot study on the CBC curriculum in Kenya. So why do we do research? It is supposed to add to your professional knowledge. It is supposed to inform your position in this course, particularly in policy debates. It is supposed to help you to improve your practice. For me, bullet 3 is profound. I want you to, the only difference, the only motive I have, at least with the DASA graduates and also with Moi graduates when I was in Moi, was to make them different, whatever they were. And in Moi, we were teaching research methods across all disciplines. So I taught students from School of Medicine, Engineering, Law, Education, research methods to improve your practice. And you'll see how that is attained. Now, how can research improve practice? How does it improve practice? Because it is evidence-based practice. So personal and professional practices that have been shown to be effective through research. By the way, why do you have a problem with the funding model? Why are we allowing our president to go into town halls and be faced with young men and women who have no respect for the institution of the presidency? It's because we introduce a funding model without evidence-based practices. If we had done research and brought the findings, we would not have these controversies we are having. Now, 3 ways that research can influence practice is to suggest improvements to practice. So you can actually do research where Ayiro has done research to improve it. You can pick research that was done in America and change the demographics and do it in Kenya. You can do research that was done 10 years ago and do it today. Or you can offer new ideas. And I'm hoping in a class like yours, we shall have minds, we shall sharpen minds where they'll come up with new ideas. Today, the first cohort of this program, there are about between 45 and 50 students. And I am supervising all of them. I'm their first supervisor, chapter 1, 2, and 3. And wow, if you look at the ideas that are coming through, it is just heartwarming. So I would like also to hear new ideas and not repeating the obvious. Help you to evaluate alternative practices and say, this one will work, this one will not work. So it's a very captivating area of study. And I repeat, the only reason, the distinction between an undergraduate where you are and a master's program is that research will improve your practice in ways you had not imagined. Now, what do you need to know in reading research articles? What is research and the process used by researchers? In other words, I want you to ground yourself theoretically in the constructs and processes of research. Then know how researchers report their research and what information is given in the major sections of a research article. So we will make sure that you get to understand the research register, the language register of research. And I'll want you to know if this is chapter 1 introduction, how do you craft chapter 1? How do you craft chapter 2? How the 45 odd students that I'm supervising. And I'm glad to say right now we have 15 of them who have already crossed the line of chapter 3, they want to defend. And then we have the other bulk. Nobody's in chapter 1. All of them are in chapter 2, moving towards chapter 3. So the language of research and how to evaluate research. I want to pause and allow you for 5 minutes to internalize the steps that we take when conducting research. So let's take 5 minutes, start with step 1 and just go through up to step 7. And all of us will go through these steps as we do our research projects. So, ladies and gentlemen, and I want you to, in your mind, to put a red flag on step 1. If you don't get that right, identifying the research problem, the whole process on identifying the research, helping you know how to identify a research problem. We'll also give you the skills in reviewing the literature. In other words, looking at the studies that have been done in that area. Step 3 looks easy, but it is not. Specifying the purpose of the research. I wouldn't worry a lot about step 4 because once we identify the problem and the purpose, the design will fall in place, and we'll collect the data. We will analyze the data depending whether the research is quantitative or qualitative, and then we shall do interpretation and write the report for dissemination. But I want you to put an asterisk, a flag on the research problem and the purpose of the research. Now, identifying a research problem, the researcher specifies an issue to study. But then you must develop a justification for studying it and suggest the importance of the study reason. By the way, I normally tell my students, your research problem should be a point of pain to you, a point of frustration, a point of distress, a point of unfairness. There must be something that pushes you to the edge. So you must tell us the issue, and we must see it. Either statistics are telling us or studies are telling us. Then you must justify why you want to do that study, and then tell us the value of doing that study. Let me use this simple example. During COVID, in my village at home, the chief came to me very unhappy and told me, Professor, our village is lost. And I said, why? And he said, can you imagine, I have more than 25 girls in class 8 who are pregnant. And he kept on telling me, that is a very serious problem. Now, as a researcher, I knew that was not the problem. Girls being pregnant is not a problem. It is a manifestation of a problem. It is the visibility of a problem, but that is not the problem. Why the girls get pregnant? It is poverty. It is peer influence and negative exposure, for example, to social media. So the problem is not the girls getting pregnant. No, that's not the problem. That is a visibility. That is a manifestation of a problem. The problem, the variables you want to check, what induces them to go out, and then the consequence is pregnancy. So what was the justification for us to do, as I listened to the justification is, really we must address this, because if we don't stem this, then we are going to increase poverty in our village. There will be girls with a lot of children, and, poverty will spread. The other reason, we shall never achieve the Sustainable Development Goals of universal education. And so the importance is that the economic well-being of that location in Kakamega County will never match the rest of the counties, because a lot of those people now don't become participants in the growth of the economy. So I'm giving you that as an example. And you should begin to say, my God, so this is why people don't get it in research. And I can give you many examples. Step 2, reviewing the literature. You will locate summaries, books, and journal articles on a topic. I want to repeat here, the only reason you have come for a master's degree and further on a PhD degree is you'll have become a reader. You'll want to be among a congregation of experts in that area. It doesn't happen if you're not reading. So if I'm supervising you, normally even before we get to identify the research problem, we can identify the area. I'll give you 5 or 10 articles to go and read. And by the time you read those articles, you'll have known the prominent authors in that area. and your problem statement, your research problem, will be birthed out of that reading. And so you'll be able to choose what to include in the review, and you'll be able to summarize the literature in your chapter 2 of the study. The purpose for the research, you must identify the major intent or objective of the study. What is the purpose of your study? What is the purpose of your study? What is the end game? So it narrows the intent into specific research questions or hypotheses. So where do we get research questions? Where do we get research objectives? Where do we get the hypothesis? It is from the purpose of the research. Now, the purpose of the research is born out of the problem statement. And I want you to note that problem statement gives birth to the purpose. Then selecting the design and collecting data. We haven't done this, but we shall teach you the various designs. A design is a blueprint, barabara, the road you'll follow to provide the overall plan for the study. So you then collect data by selecting settings and individuals. You obtain the necessary permits or permissions, and you gather information by asking people questions or observing their behaviors. So that's not too difficult, collecting data through interviews, through structured questionnaires, through observation. So for example, if your design is a qualitative design, qualitative, not quantitative, you're not measuring, qualitative, and you are studying circumcision practices in Western Kenya, if you are a qualitative researcher, your research design will dictate how you collect the data. So you collect the data by being part of the phenomenon. So you become the instrument for collecting data. You go in an area for a month and you sit in the situation and you collect data. It is dictated by the design, but I'll get into details of that later on. Then analyzing data and reporting. Of course, after you have collected data, we will have to make steps to put the data together and analyze. And again, analyzing data and reporting is an area where I'll spend some time, depending on the design that you choose. And then finally, interpreting the research results, this data you have found. So why can you interpret to us from the data you have found? You went to Western and you found somebody who is a professor in the university still takes the son for circumcision. Somebody who's a medical doctor still takes the son to the traditional circumciser. Somebody who is a bishop takes the son. There is need for interpretation, that this is not about education. This is about culture. And now you begin to ask yourself, how deep-rooted is that culture? That it doesn't matter your exposure. You are living in Nairobi, in the city, with your children going to Kenya High and Lenana, and you still take your girl for circumcision. So interpretation, and you must have interviewed many people to understand, why would you take your girl for what others will call female genital mutilation? Why? And that's how you'll be able to interpret and explain your results. Then there is dissemination. and evaluating the research. You must be able to give us a written report. You must be able to present your defense or take your results to the person who gave you the consultancy and they want you to give the report and give them suggestions, give them strategies to overcome that situation. And then the audience will assess the quality of the research study. If it is a thesis, they'll pass it. But if it is a proposal with the World Bank, they will ask many questions whether this is really what they wanted, or you are falsifying the results from out there. I want to caution that not all journal articles report research. Just remember that there are different types of journals and types of scholarly writing. Some people give thought papers. Some people give reviews of existing literature. By the way, Bullet 2 is now becoming very popular in what is now known as a meta-analysis. I don't encourage you to do a meta-analysis at master's level, but as you move to PhD level, we want some of you to do a meta-analysis. Don't reinvent the wheel. So if it is about 844 system, there are thousands of studies that have been done. If it is about management of COVID in the third world, there are thousands of studies. Can you do a systematic review of those studies? Then do a meta-analysis and tell us the key variables that can be manipulated in the future concerning the area of your study. So then there are descriptions of innovative practices and, of course, basic research studies. How do you identify documents? We'll come to that. But in a report of a research study, normally we will teach you how to get the key terms to look for when you are picking the material. And then you do the study investigation. You look at original work that has been done. And then you collect data, you analyze, and then you report your results. So what are the major sections of a research report? There is the front matter, where there's the title, author information, abstract. I think you know that. But the main areas is an introduction section, a literature review, a methodology section, results and interpretation, then conclusion, and then the back matter. So as we enter into this course, just know that research is documented, is formatted in this format. There is always an introduction, one of the most difficult chapters to write. There's literature review. If you're not mentored, supervised properly, some of you will simply be copying and pasting material. That will not pass in DASTA. Then there is the methodology, which is your research design, how did you collect data, how did you analyze, and then results interpretation, and then the conclusion. And say, basically, this is what we are calling the research methods. And I want to leave, before I go to the next presentation, I just want to hear how you're feeling about this research process. So, Caro, you can pick comments or they can carry up their hands. I'm glad that the Master of Science in Nursing students are with us. That's very good. So can we have some comments? Yes, Somoire Losioki. Are you there?
Yes, Professor.
Followed by Catherine. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Professor Laban. First, I must say that I'm very happy to be and delighted to be in this class. We met while I was an undergrad student at Moore University. That time, when you became the Vice Chancellor, Moi University. You gave us a lecture on change at the university, and I made a request also to speak that time. But I didn't get an opportunity to speak about change then. But I hope now, because I'm in this class, I'll be able to also get more opportunities to be a speaker in some of the panel you'll be engaged in. To make some, to give my input about what I'm learning so far in this class. One, I'm so happy about the research development stages, which is very interesting for my case, especially when I want to contextualize the purpose of this whole course and this program for my community, my county, Kajiado, a pastoralist community, my country, Kenya, and my region, East Africa, because when you talked about designing, coming up with the issue, and you mentioned something very, very specific. For example, it's about girls getting pregnant being not an issue, but what is the exact issue? And I was trying to analyze and start digesting the whole idea about it. And so far, I am already having a lot of things going and in East Africa about some of the issues I would really like to focus on during the class stages. So I'm so happy about it, and I look forward to see how impactful these sessions are going to really help me to conduct very impactful research that are going to impact the whole community in the sector of education. Thank you very much, Professor.
Yeah. And I'm glad that the many hands that have come up, but I just want to emphasize something. Please listen with your eyes. Where you see me pause and give examples, I want to trigger your mind to start to think. People cannot decipher what the problem is, and they go on and they write work that is not valid because you did not actually say what the problem is. I want to give an example. I'm coming back to you. When I was doing my PhD, we had a lady with me who, we were in a business class, who went to Mombasa and was looking at sex workers. It's an example. And she wanted to design an entrepreneurial program that would get those women, or went and did an ethnographic study. In other words, she went and sat in that situation. She went and hired a room, and in the evening, she was just like them. She didn't engage in their practices, but got to understand. And so what was the problem? The problem was not those engagements in the night. When she learned a lot about those women, they had children. Some of them, because they had children left behind, they needed to get some money to support their grandmothers or their mothers, and many other reasons. So you see, the problem is not that there are many women in Mombasa who are doing whatever they were doing. No, that's not the problem. And her thesis, by the way, the results of her thesis were picked by UNDP, and it became a huge funding program for ladies to come off that practice and get into small and micro enterprises. And that's the value. So that's what I want us to think and not take things on the surface. Catherine, Marete.
Prof, as you give, I would ask people just to continue helping us map your profession and where you're doing. It would be nice if you also say what if you're a teacher, a banker, or whatever, so that we can, meanwhile, we will start knowing who you are and what you're doing as you ask your question. That's a privilege of raising your hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Caro, and thank you, Professor. I'm Catherine. Yeah. I am an education practitioner. I am in management, and I have had the privilege of listening to Prof quite a number of times, even when I was I think I'm a teacher by profession. And I remember one time you used to speak so much to the principals, and they would come and share with us. One of the very critical topics you used to share with them was emotional intelligence. And I followed it through. You are one of the practitioners of emotional intelligence. Prof, your presentation today has triggered my mind. And I'm so happy to be in your class because your approach to research has made me feel refreshed because I think people just do research for purposes of papers. But today you have really intrigued me on the issue of having a research that can improve my practice. And I'm particularly very impressed by the 3 ways in which research can influence practice, because from where I sit, and I know you have also been in my position one time, is that we have a lot of good policies in our country, very good papers, and very good memos and circulars keep coming, but they have not really influenced the good positioning of our education sector in this country and also in many other sectors of our country. And therefore, I want to say that, Prof, you are one of a kind. The approach you're giving to research, and particularly, I like the way you started by talking about what is your definition of research, not what is on paper, not what is there, but what is it that I know, or what can I say about research as a researcher. And therefore, Prof, I want to appreciate you very much. And I keep praying for you so much because I want you to see us through this program. And I also want you to see the fruits of your labor, because I want to believe the class that is here, if we can each make a difference where we are, if the researches we are going to engage in can influence our practice, then we shall have 100+ better workplaces in this country, and we shall have a better nation. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you. And as we go on, first of all, if you ask the cohort, I don't talk about hours, I don't talk about semesters. We will go through research until I am satisfied that you can start writing your chapter 1 and you understand what you are writing in that chapter 1. So this is a great experiment, and I've seen it with the first cohort. I want to show that I can start with 50 students and take them to the finishing line on graduation day, and they will have worked for those degrees. Jennifer Nyango, let's take 2 minutes each because we are very many and I have a lot of work to go through. Yeah. Jennifer?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm privileged to be here and to listen to your voice. And before I continue, maybe I can request if I can call you my mentor now and you were a role model. Apologies, I cannot turn on my camera.
It's okay.
I'm not in a very nice place. So I love the introduction so far for the course that you've given for the course. And you've made it very clear and simple to understand. So moving forward, I'm looking forward to be able to evaluate existing research that has been done on educational policies, to identify some strengths of those research, weaknesses, and even gaps that are there. And I believe this is going to help me to come up with some solutions to the challenges, some of the challenges that we face as educators. And a good example is the issue of curriculum and as schools, as a nation, and the world in general. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to learning more from you.
Very good, very good. Betty, then Phoebe, then Eunice.
Okay, thank you so much for this chance, Professor, and thanks for having me as part of your class. So my name is Betty Bonga, and I was born and raised in Kisumu, Currently, I'm based in Dubai. I'm teaching at GEMS International School here in Dubai. I'm a teacher of humanities. And one thing that makes me so excited about, actually, it's 8:02 p.m. here right now. Yeah. So one thing that excites me about taking up this course is the fact that it's not just me who is going to benefit from this course, but also the students that I'm currently handling. I got privileged to teach a new subject, which is called Global Perspective, and it requires quite a lot of research work. And then, like, having been out of school for quite a long time, I mean, this is going to be like a double blessing to me and my students. And I can't thank you enough for this opportunity to just be part of your class. And I'm really looking forward to learn quite a lot from you. Thank you so much.
Very good. Very good. Phoebe, and then Eunice, and then Mwangi, and not Mwai Njoroge. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Phoebe. I'm a nursing student. I'm a nurse by profession, a critical nurse, critical care nurse of a decade of practice. But currently I'm a teacher, teaching nurses who are specialized. And my engagement with Professor is, I am the first cohort you graduated from Daystar when you came in 2019. And so for this reason, I am back because I feel a lot of confidence to come back and get this master's program. My focus is to influence the nursing education because there has been a lot of back forth with what we teach, a lot of duplication. And I'm looking forward to be able to influence a little area in nursing education that is for the post-basic, people who come after they have practiced. I already have been triggered in my mind to look at some areas and looking at what influence it shall bring in my current employment and also in the future. I feel ignited and privileged to be here. I am looking forward. Thank you. The start is brilliant. Thank you very much.
All the best. I wish you well. Next, was it Eunice or was it Bernard?
Hello,
or Mwai?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Yes. Who is that?
Eunice.
Okay, Eunice. Go ahead, Eunice.
Thank you so much. I'm glad today for this class. I'm a teacher by profession, teaching Swahili and history. I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much, Professor Ayiro. For sure, I have learned today about the research, and you have opened my mind and even the eyes that the problems we are facing in our society and be able to identify them and be able to find some of the solution to these problems. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to have joined with this, and I feel that I'm at the right place. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and just keep being encouraged. Bernard, are you there?
Bernard?
Yeah. Yes, Prof. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Bernard Wandera. I happen to manage a school here in Dagoretti. And let me say that I'm excited by the information you are able to share with us. Some of us pass through public universities, but coming for masters in such kind of a private university, we feel like, it's home. We feel home. I was just sharing with one of the students here that being in this kind of university, you get to wonder where you're in university or it's just a home that you are belonging to. So I want to thank the Daystar team and also to thank you because of the lesson we've had on research. And I was just wondering, about two major areas. Number one, whether a good research was done on implementation of CBC in areas of parental involvement. And another area is human capital, the investment in teachers who are supposed to be. And also I was just wondering about a second research, and this is an reintegration of children from children homes to the institution setup to a family setup, because there are major discussion, major issues, and whether that was also gotten in the right manner. So as you're going on, I think I was internalizing, critically looking at things, and I'm just grateful that I'm part of this class, and being, you being our mentor there, I'm just grateful that is a great opportunity that we are all here to benefit. Thank you.
Wow, Bernard, you have a researcher's mind. When I did the pilot of the CBC, our recommendations were that Kenya needed 3.6 billion Kenya shillings annually to implement CBC in lower primary. We looked at teacher capacity. The teachers who teach lower primary are not young people like you. They are the grannies. They are the ones who were taken to lower primary because they would give care to those kids. And therefore, they are not tech savvy. So even when you send their tablets, they can't use them. And we made those recommendations. The economics of the education, but that's why Amina was removed the following day when she said we can't start. So I'm not surprised where we are with CBC. It was not evidence-based, and I like your mind. And I also like the reintegration of vulnerable kids back into families is a very harrowing and fearful experience. That's an area where you can do some research. Mwangi, over to you, Njoroge.
Thank you, Prof. Good evening. I am a school principal in Jabali Christian School, and I thank God for this opportunity. Actually, after I did my undergraduate from Kenyatta University, some of the fears I had regarding masters, you have actually made them very simple from your introduction today. And one of them is where it's possible for us to identify the problem and not dealing with the manifestation. We go deeper and just demystifying the issue of qualitative and quantitative research, because sometimes, yes, we know it's about numbers and quality value, but what about it? So for me, I'm personally feeling charged. I actually feel we should finish this masterclass and pursue other things so that we can be of impact to the society. Because if this is the way to go, then it doesn't have to be complicated, that we can't be of value to the society after we graduate. We just scare others that you have good papers. And therefore, I sincerely want to appreciate the work that you're doing, and that the Lord will be gracious to you and to preserve your life for the sake of this generation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Richard, Hilary, Luchivia, 1 minute each, because I have so much I want to do in the next 1 hour. Yeah, go ahead. And I value these interjections. They're giving me an idea of the tempo in the class and where we want to go. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Good evening, everyone. I'm Richard from China, and I be mathematics teacher. I think this lesson was meant for me because I've already written a lesson plan for tomorrow. In IB, it's something we call internal assessment, where you teach them to write their own research, and especially this part of identifying the research problem. In fact, the way you have put it, I'll just go and put it the same way. Because we find the student getting the question, that is where the problem is. Because if they come up with an idea which they had it from someone, then when they in the middle of it, they hang. So we try and help them get their own question, but I cannot give them. And that is where most of us, when you are doing something, you get an idea from someone which is not in your heart. In the middle of it, it just hangs. Thanks a lot, Professor. You have helped me to a lot, because tomorrow it's already here at 12, but I cannot sleep before you finish. Thank you a lot.
Yes, Auntie. Hilary, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have ugali in China?
We usually carry some, and then there are people, Kenyans are creative. They bring it here. The Raha Premium is here. Everything they bring, we have it.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is okay here. Not the same way people say we take frogs. No, there is everything. But the frogs are there. They are there. They are there. You go to the supermarket, you find it there.
Okay.
The snakes,
Thank you.
people eat everything here.
Yeah, I was in Shanghai, and the food, it was in hotels, best hotels, very oily food. You know, you have alternatives. Hilary, Luchivia. Okay, Hilary, are you there?
Professor.
Thank you,
Professor.
Yeah.
I feel humbled and rightly placed at the Eastern University doing my second degree. It wasn't easy for me to start my second degree. This is after having a close discussion with my mentor, Dr. Kekode of Moi University, where I did my undergraduate.
Yes.
Professor, I'm looking forward to do a research with your guidance in Kakamega County, where I hail from. And I think this is for the public good. I'm also encouraged by your submission, Professor, that you will first make the graduate students to understand what his research question is before he writes. Initially, when we were doing diploma, there was a lot of duplication. We didn't know what we were doing. But from what you've said, Professor, I'm encouraged, and I feel this would be done tomorrow. But I know as time goes by, we shall do it. Thank you so much, Professor. I'm humbled.
Thank you. All the best. That's the spirit. Luchivia? Luchivia?
Good evening, Prof, and everyone. I think Lujivia took the position of Hillary. This Hillary on call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are so happy, Prof, for the introduction on thesis. You know, what makes us so fearful to do masters is this animal in the room called thesis. Most learners fear to do undergraduate because of the thesis. How can they do it? You can find some other institutions, they say the thesis can take them up to 3, 4, 5 years. And that's what makes them fear to enroll for these master's programs in other institutions. But through your introduction, you've really simplified it. I'm confident I'm ready to do it now. The fear has gone off.
Okay.
What I've realized is that we do research to solve problems that we encounter in our daily activities. Thank you.
Yeah. Very good. So I want us to do this. I want us to listen to Gertrude and then Marian. We'll pause. I want to continue, then we'll come back towards the end because I can see my hour is really running. Gertrude and Marian. Then the rest I'll yeah.
Hello,
Gertrude?
everyone. Thank you, Dr. for this opportunity. My name is Gertrude Nyangara, a JS teacher teaching in one of the schools in Malindi, which is in Kilifi County. In fact, I'm happy to be in your class. Your introduction was really simplified. It has really simplified this issue of research, and I'm feeling to be more interested in this unit. In fact, I can say that at this point, I am now starting to understand what research is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Marian. And that was very brief. Thank you, Marian.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Marian Gunguti. I'm also a teacher teaching ICT. Thank you so much, Professor. What I have to say is I feel happy that you've introduced it in a very simple way. Like, it's not something that appears to be big or hard. Having done research, maybe in diploma, in first diploma, second diploma, and degree, I felt it was so hard for me, and it always gave me stress. But the way you've introduced it, it seems like it's something that is doable, easy, and we are looking forward for your help. And may God bless you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Laura, you are among the earliest. Just let's finish with Laura, then coordinator, you keep track of the others. I need to get moving back to the lesson. Yeah.
Yes, Laura.
Thank you, Prof. I'm delighted and excited to be here, and of course scared to an extent for what is ahead of us. One of the reasons why I joined this class, I'm a teacher, and I was listening to one of your sessions with cohort 1. A friend of mine was taking it, and one of the things you said is that you can be great as a teacher. So as everyone else is looking for, they want to do business, and I'm here just thinking that Laura is a teacher. So I'm here to be great, and I know I'm in great hands. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. With your permission, the rest, I've seen your names. We'll pick you back. Let's go back. I want to cover something because I want to send some reading material for you while you'll be away. On Saturday, we'll be talking about policy studies. So that whole week, I want you to look at your research methods. And I want us to go back and share some presentation here.
Yes, Prof, you share one of them. I think John Chege already is thinking of doing an innovative thesis or research with a product to be able to give a solution on how to teach, and is already thinking of a concept of coming up with an innovative. So his research will be taking more of an innovation as opposed to the usual data collection with the way we do. Many people go.
That's fine. Okay. I want to introduce research methodology. I've talked about the research process, and I just want you to note that research is an art, and an art has a philosophy around it, what we call philosophical underpinnings. So research methodology is the blueprint from the time you start thinking about your problem right up to the end when you are doing dissemination. But it starts with a philosophy. You must have a philosophy. And so I would like to introduce you. We'll not go deep into this today, but I just want to give you an idea of where we are going. Then I'll talk about the material I'll send you for extra reading, and then we'll close the class. Now, I think I want to do an overview of the research methodology. And research methodology will tell us how we conduct research. And it includes the philosophical foundation. There must be a philosophy. By the way, the national goals of education in Kenya are the philosophical foundations of education. So you must have a philosophy in research. So I'll talk about the philosophy that surrounds research. I'll talk about research approaches. I'll talk about design, strategies, data collection and analysis methods, sampling techniques, and then what we call ethics or ethical considerations. So I want you to understand methodology in research, because you must understand, I'm not talking about methods, I'm talking about methodology. I want you to understand where research starts and where it ends. That is called methodology. Within that methodology, in chapter 3, we shall find the methods of research. So we must be very clear. And understanding the research methodology is crucial for conducting valid and reliable research. So my duty as your research professor is to make sure that each and every one of us is at home with research methodology. So what does it do? It ensures that the research process is structured and coherent, leading to accurate and meaningful results. I don't want us to be haphazard. We will be very structured. We will understand where research starts from and where it ends, so that when we go and structure, and this, if you understand research methodology, it will help you choose the appropriate methods for your studies, ensuring the research questions are effectively addressed. So I would not like to see haphazard attempts at research methodology. I would be very particular about your topics, how you bring up your topic, and I'll tell you the skills around getting the right topic. And then all of us will practice writing those topics. And then we will go into the introduction, chapter 1. We shall look at the problem statement. What is this? What is the problem? And then we shall look at the purpose, bring out the research questions, and move on. And when you understand research methodology, it aids in critically evaluating the research of other people and promoting evidence-based practices. Just like one of you was asking, with CBC, did we look at capacity development? Did we look at parental involvement? So you're able to ask the right questions because you understand what research methodology is. And I want you to look at this drawing, and this is a typical iceberg. A typical iceberg. You know that what we see in the sea is just a tip of the iceberg. What is hidden is the iceberg itself. And if you are a captain of a ship and you see a tip of an iceberg, sometimes you see a very, very small tip above the water, and you try and go with your boat or your ship and say, that one I can smash through it, without knowing that there is a big mass under the sea. And that is how, if you try to do that, you become shipwrecked. The ship will hit the underneath of that iceberg, and this whole mass will puncture your ship and you'll start to sink. What am I saying? Most of us, this is the metaphor, the iceberg metaphor. Most of us are taught research methods by just looking at the tip here. So people talk about methods. They talk about quantitative, qualitative, mixed method. That is just the tip of the iceberg. But hidden under the iceberg, hidden under the sea, Just a minute. Hidden under the sea is hidden under the sea is this massive thing. So what is under the sea? It is the philosophy. So I don't want any of our students finishing research methods not to appreciate the value of philosophy. So in research, there are three philosophical types. You are either a positivist, that means you believe in quantity and measurement and you're objective, or you are an interpretivist, also called constructivist. Note, I'm repeating this because I don't expect my graduate to have difficulty in saying interpretivist. So I'm giving you homework for the bathroom. When you are in the bathroom, as you're bathing, start practicing interpretivist until you know it. Then there is constructivist is the same. These are the people who don't believe in objectivity. They are subjective. They are saying nature, the reality of nature is subjective. So they believe in words. They believe in interpretation of the words, of the meaning. So when you go to Bungoma and look at circumcision among the Luyas, you are going to interpret what you think of that circumcision based on what people are telling you. When you go to Nandi and you're going into a coito ceremony, a pre-wedding ceremony, you will get the interpretation of the people of what coito is. You are not a positivist. You have not gone to measure what that function is about. When you are a positivist and you're looking at the education system in Kenya, you are interested in the budgets, how much is spent, how many teachers have been employed for junior secondary, how many subjects are being done, how many students are passing. You are a positivist. But if you are an interpretivist, you are asking, why are we placing junior secondary in primary and not in secondary? You are a constructivist. You are trying to construct ideas. Why is it that most parents are taking their children to private schools and not secondary schools and not public schools? And then there is a third religion called pragmatism or pragmatists. These are the people who believe numbers are important, but description is also important. So if you are pragmatic or you are a pragmatist, you do what we call mixed methods research. You do both. You go and measure how many children have been circumcised and they did not go to hospital for overbleeding, but you also go and find out why do even the most educated people insist that their children are circumcised traditionally. So you are a pragmatist. You are pragmatic. I am saying this. There are three religions in research. Those religions are called paradigms. You are either a positivist, an interpretivist, or a constructivist, or you are a pragmatist or pragmatic in approach. Then there is the logic. What logic drives you? The first part of logic Please mute your speakers. The first logic is ontology, the nature of being, ontology, the nature of being. So I don't want you to talk about methods in research without telling me your philosophy and without telling me the logic that is guiding you. So there is ontology. We shall give you the definition, but it's just the nature of being. Then there is epistemology. Epistemology is how that nature of being is described. How do you explain the nature of being? That is epistemology. And then, of course, there are assumptions, very many assumptions that we make. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we introduce research methods, we are not going to introduce research methods as a tip of the iceberg. We shall look at research methodology in totality. So what am I saying? That method plus philosophy plus logic plus assumption is what we call research methodology. And all these aspects that I've covered, you will learn them so that you are grounded in the theory of research. And I don't want students, when they're asked, what is the difference between methodology and methods? Then they have gaping mouths. They don't know what to say. Methodology encompasses the whole blueprint of research, from assumptions to logic to philosophy to methods. But methods are the designs, quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods. We are just starting, but by the time we finish our research methodology class, this will be common knowledge. But I want to introduce you to it now. Now, what are the philosophical underpinnings? What is this research philosophy? Research philosophy refers to the set of beliefs concerning the nature of reality. That is called ontology, the nature of reality. So, for example, what is your reality of a table? Let me ask you, what is your reality of a table? Some of us think of a table that can hold many chairs. In some homes, the reality of a table is actually the size of a stool. That is your ontological perspective of what a table is. What is your reality of a chicken? What is your reality of a boy? What is your reality of a runner? Are you thinking of Morara? Are you thinking of Kipchoge Keino? Or are you thinking of that person who jogs around your house? That is your reality. That is your ontological perspective. What is the nature of knowledge? What is the nature of knowledge? That is now epistemology. How do you describe a pyramid, for example? How do you describe a pyramid? How do you describe love? Yeah, your nature of knowledge, your epistemology. What is your epistemological perception of love? So when I say at Earth River in my housekeeper knows that I love my cats. Parker, I love my cats. And every evening I have to call them, they come to my bed. I want to make sure they have eaten, they're okay. I love my cats. That is my epistemological description of love, closeness. Now, some people will say closeness cannot be to cats and dogs. So epistemology is the nature of knowledge. And then when we talk about a dog, all of us have grown, and when we see a dog, we shall say that is a dog. When we see a cat, we shall say that is a cat. When we see a car, we shall say that is a car. Because this knowledge, the nature of knowledge, has been transmitted to us since we were born. So we have that. But sometimes, what is burial? When I say what is burial, or what is a wedding, or what is the role of a man in a house? You know, your epistemological perception of the role of a man will be very different from my perception. That is the nature of knowledge. And then the methods used to acquire that knowledge, methodology. And it starts with philosophical underpinnings. Under philosophical underpinnings, remember, there is philosophy, there is logic, and there are assumptions. What are the major paradigms? What are the major paradigms? What are the major paradigms? The first one is positivism. Na nimemwambia, that is your first assignment. Best done in the bathroom when you're taking a shower. Reality is objective and can be measured and quantified, typically associated with quantitative research methods. So those of you who are mathematical in disposition, those of you who will do a study that involves certain measurable variables, obviously your philosophical underpinning will be positivism. Interpretivism argues that it is subjective and constructed by individuals, that reality is subjective. So a poor man in the slums of Kibera, where I grew up myself, and a poor man in Tana River, or a poor man in China, our interpretation of that will be subjective, and it will be constructed by the knowledge that you have acquired either through study or through experience. So interpretivism, just remember, argues that reality is subjective and constructed by individuals, and is associated with qualitative research methods. So what am I saying? Positivism, reality is objective, quantitative research methods. Interpretivism, subjective, reality is subjective, qualitative research methods. These are things, ladies and gentlemen, you must have. It is like reading Genesis in the Bible, or the first book in the Quran, for those of us who are Muslims in this class. There is constructivism, and at master's level, I want you to consider interpretivism and constructivism to be the same thing, because it says that knowledge is constructed through human activity and interaction. Through human activity and interaction. And interpretivism is that reality is subjective and constructed by individuals. So it's the same thing. Not quite, but similar. So emphasize the importance of context and meaning. You know, I don't know how to say this. I wish I could say it better. Those of us who have traveled, and I'm glad we have people from different parts of the world, our reality is very different from those of us who have not traveled out of Kenya. So when you see SGR in Nairobi, the train that comes from Mombasa to Nairobi, you get mesmerized. You say, wow. But if you go to China or America or Britain and you get the tubes, the trains underground, your construction of what a train is becomes very different. But if you are a positivist, a train is a train. And you'll be saying, what is the difference between these trains? One, the speed is very high. This one, the speed is low. Two, this one can carry 500 people. This one can only carry 100 passengers. This one is electric. This one is diesel. You see, you are measuring quantities. But the interpretist and the constructivist will have a very different subjective reality of what a train is, depending on how knowledge has been constructed through exposure in their ways of life. Then pragmatism focuses on the practical application of research. So don't tell me how poor people in Kibera are using flying toilets and they're eating, they can hardly get ugali with sukuma wiki. That is not enough. And how many are suffering from malaria and typhoid. That's not enough. If I am pragmatic, I want to know what are the statistics. So I want to tell the Kenya government there are 100 million people, close to 1 million people staying in Kibera under these sordid conditions. There are so many toilets. So if you have 1 million people and you have 200,000 toilets, it means 800 people don't have toilets. Waterborne diseases, because there's no distribution of water. So I am pragmatic. I am looking at the practical application of research. So I must give the statistics and I must carry the voices. So it does not strictly adhere to a single philosophy, but uses the approach that best fits the research problem. So I want to give you my position. I am a professor of mixed methods research, or I am a pragmatist. I believe in the cries and voices of the people who are living in poverty in Kibera, but I also believe in numbers to give strength to those values. We did a study in Kericho with one of my medical students in Moi, and we are looking at the prevalence of TB in a sub-county in Kericho. We wanted to know, these people are given medicines for treatment of TB, and yet the mortality rate and even the morbidity rate was too high. The statistics were showing they were getting adequate drugs and they were coming to hospital as required. But when we went on the ground, we had the reality told to us by the respondents. Many grandmothers, grandfathers who had TB would not use the food rations they were given because they would say, how can I eat food when my grandchildren are going to sleep hungry? So what happened? They were dying, not so much out of TB, but out of malnutrition and lack of sufficient energy in their bodies. So you get that. I want to pause here because I've seen hands coming up. Carol, can you pick the hands that came up? There are two participants who have raised.
Well,
there is
yeah, there is.
Cheriot and Nicodemus and Achola. Please go, take it up.
All right. Who goes first?
Yes, Prof. My name is Nicodemus Ingolan.
Yes.
I'm a principal in Turkana County. Your students. I want to apologize. I may not be able to project my video because I am in a place that is full of network but lacks electricity. I'm just seated in the open, and but I can be. My voice can be heard.
Yeah, you know, I've mentored Lodo boys, Lodo girls, and so I know those places. I've stayed at the Catholic mission there. Yeah,
Thank you,
so
Prof.
I know. I've gone to Lokitang. So
Wow.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
That is the headquarters of my sub-county. I come from Turkana North.
Oh, okay.
And I teach in one of the oldest school in Turkana North, known as St. Leo's Kakuma Secondary School.
I know it, Kakuma. Yes.
I teach physics and chemistry.
Very good.
Thank you, Prof. Actually, this is one of our greatest lectures in the course of the week.
Yeah.
Because it has actually given a lot of insights into what we really anticipate to grasp. I wish to briefly mention something. I wish you, may I ask for your pardon slightly, because I want to take you back how I came to join Daystar University. Given the fact that I'm a principal in a Catholic school, I attended the recent concluded Catholic Schools Principals Conference organized and actually venued at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. You happen to have been our facilitator on day 2. The program that started at 11 a.m., where you actually highlighted and we benefited on your key speech on best practices in school governance and management.
Yeah.
And I think thereafter, I think that was the only session where none of the participants actually dosed. So, I know it was a wow to the very many of us who attended. After you brought up the issue of us benefiting from joining the Daystar University in further education, and you brought the issue of scholarship, and I think we really actually spread the information across the country. Here I am today. Thank you so much. Immediately after that course, I did join. That is where my question will come in now. I did join. I went for a course, a 1-month course at the Kenya School of Government, Baringo. And I successfully did it well. Now, there was something which I feel like I have to engage you. Probably you are very inquisitive student in this course.
That's okay.
Towards the end of our course, or even at the earlier stages of our senior management course, we were introduced into research methods, or what we call today the research projects. And for us to qualify, one has to have conducted a research project. You must fulfill that requirement so that you are allowed now to actually attain the certificate of a senior management course. Now, one day, the last day when we were doing our presentations, there was something that came out, or even during our engagements with our lecturers. which I have actually keenly been listening to you, Prof. The issue of conceptual framework. Conceptual framework. This is where I would want to allow you probably maybe in your engagements with us, because we are in different school of thoughts. And after listening to you, I have totally, because I'm a graduate of the Catholic University. And again, before graduating from my undergraduate, or before attending my undergraduate degree, still again, we did project work. So meaning, at least somewhere I have already been introduced to what we are going to do as, I mean, in our thesis, particularly in this med course. In this regard, I have actually heard you very well, but I've not heard you putting a lot of emphasis on the issue of the variables, the independent variable and the dependent variable, which is the main challenge that's of the research work. But although you've put it using, probably that is using another language. But now somebody was insisting, by the time we were actually printing out our works and doing even our, what we call is PowerPoint presentation, it came out vivid that we were expected to have actually produced a conceptual framework that we have to highlight now the main challenge we are addressing, which is now the dependent variable, and then the independent variables. I mean the independent variable, and then now the dependent variables. So I was looking like, where are we? By the time now we begin, you begin now to let us begin our research work. This issue of conceptual framework, how is it emphasized now? Maybe given now that we are now students of Daystar University. Where does it come in? Because you are now drawing students who are graduates of different colleges and universities within Kenya. And a good number of them have actually been taken through all different kinds of thoughts. Today we are having Professor Laban. Elsewhere we are having Dr. So-and-so, like something like that. So probably maybe that is what I wanted, maybe that you stress and highlight so that we can be able to be in terms. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I've got that. And I think it's good. It's good to, it's like when we are playing tennis ball at home, near home in the field, and you started hearing the smell of ugali in the evening. You know, your mind didn't concentrate on the game. You began to think about the ugali mama was cooking. Unasikia harufu kutoka kwa mbali. We are coming into that. We have just started descending into the well. So issues of conceptual framework, issues of variables, this is it. This is where we are going. But I'm trying to set the context so that when we get there, we know if you are a positivist, how do you deal with the conceptual framework? If you are an interpretivist, how do you deal with the variables? So we are going there, but I'm really happy you are an anticipatory person. You are looking ahead. That will be part of your genetic makeup as we go along. Yeah. Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, Evans.
Thank you.
Is that who? Is that Evans?
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Evans.
Hello, everyone. Yes.
Yeah, and we can be very straightforward the questions. As you know, in China, it's getting 1 a.m. They would like to rest so that we make sure that we make our time appropriately used. Be very specific. Yes, Evans, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'll be very precise. My name is Evans Achola. I'm a medical microbiologist, so I'm a laboratorian by profession. Mine would be very simple. Yes, I've done research work, almost 5, but Prof has really simplified this. From the philosophy underpinning research, I'm really wondering, are there areas that are not researchable? Probably that would be my question for today. Thanks.
Yes, and we'll come to the good question. That's why and I'll be asking you, why do you think this area is not researchable? there are reasons, maybe restricted data, maybe insufficient studies, and there are different forms. We'll be asking you to think of an approach where nothing exists. How do you start? So we're getting into that one. Next.
Right. Daystar, someone has labeled themselves Daystar, and then Eunice, and then Ian. Yes, Daystar? It will be good to put your name rightly always so that we can know who you are. But you've called yourself Daystar. Go ahead. All right. I'll move to the next. Eunice.
Good evening, Prof, and the entire class. I'm Eunice Odonge, a trained teacher and a journalist in practice. It's such an honor to be one of your students. I feel inspired by the way you laid down the goal on research methodology. You've really insisted on ultimate cause and not just what is visible. Mine is not a question, rather just a reaction. I'm one person who comes from Busia County, and this is a county where teenage pregnancies are really robbing off our girls' future and education. So sitting in this class and listening to what you said, I think maybe proper research is not yet done on how to end a teenage pregnancy. I'm one person who keeps on wondering whether maybe the right research has been done on ending teenage pregnancy, because you realize most of the time the CSOs or rather leaders are out there giving out sanitary towels as a form of ending teenage pregnancy. But I keep on asking myself whether giving out sanitary towels is the ultimate maybe solution to end teenage pregnancy. So from where I sit, I think maybe sometimes the problems are there, but the right research is not yet done. And as one person who believes that the passing of time will never alter the outcome unless we identify the missing link. When you look at maybe the researches that have been done on maybe efforts to end teenage pregnancies, which is a problem in Busia County and by extension the entire Western region, I think sitting in this class, I'll be part of the teams that try to give out solutions or rather ideas on maybe the correct approach to end the problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, I would like to continue. I'm going to give you 15 minutes. Let me use this 15 minutes, then I'll give you 15 minutes at the end to wrap up. So what am I saying as we move on? Please know what is research methodology, and know that research methods are just the tip of the iceberg. Know that under research methodology, you must, like somebody who has told me he's in the laboratory, that is a positivist. That's what he does. So know where you will sit. And as I supervise the almost 50 students, we have decided, argued together and said, you will be in the realm of positivism, you will be in the realm of interpretivism, you will be pragmatic. And we see the reason why. Because the philosophy you choose determines your research design. So research designs don't just come from nowhere. I saw, is it Miriam trying to ask a question? Somebody, Miriam? Are you there? Okay. Now, what is the influence? Yes, go ahead.
Evening. I don't know whether I've interrupted your 15 minutes or should I wait after your question?
No, just go ahead.
Okay, mine was just to thank you for, it is really eye-opening. I'm a teacher by profession. I'm teaching in Addis Ababa. And today, actually, in one of our meetings as staff, we were talking about inquiry-based learning. And I think this is largely where the management sees itself going in the next maybe few years, moving the school to an inquiry-based kind of school. So this is very eye-opening. I'm really looking forward to learning more. And I think for me, the question that has lingered in mind for a long time is, are there communities in Kenya that are more prevalent to single motherhood? And maybe myself coming from one of those communities, I don't want to name names. Are there such communities, and what contributes to this? So I think this is an area that I'm really willing to explore. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you, Miriam. And that's why you're in this course. You will not carry biases. You will not carry stereotypes. You will search for the problem. So single motherhood, I was a principal of a presidential school in Nairobi. And when I came from up country, I had a bias about children from single homes until I came to Sunshine as the principal. And I realized that some of the most decent men, young men, and they have become very successful doctors, architects, and what, came from single mothers. And all I did as the principal, I became their father figure. You know, so there is research there. If you blindly condemn somebody, and I had children from good families, and they had challenges. My own son was in that school. Me and Agnes were there, but we had challenges with him in Form 1 and 2. Of course, later on, he changed. He's a lawyer in his own right. So that's interesting. That's what I'm saying. As I go through this, let things start to work through your mind. And don't wait until I'm finishing the course. Then you are beginning to try to say, this is where I do my research. In fact, by the time I'm finishing this course next semester, when we will do disciplined inquiry, you should all have your topics and should have the courage to defend them and tell me what is the problem. Thank you very much. So let me carry on. The influence of philosophy on research design. Just note that the research philosophy influences the research design, including the formulation of research questions, the choice of methods, and the interpretation of results. So the philosophy anchors the design, the research questions, the methods, and the interpretation. So I want us to be very, very clear. When you say, I am going the mixed methods way, or I'll be pragmatic, I am going the quantitative way, I'll be positivist, I am going the qualitative way, I'll be interpretivist. You know what you're saying, because then your design is defined, your research questions, the choice of methods, and the interpretation. The problem we have had in research, and in many universities in this country and beyond, is that people don't have the theoretical grounding. So they're picking a topic, and it is just a topic. They don't even know philosophically, where am I going to sit? And so you see, if you don't have a philosophical bearing, then the design is questionable, the research questions, the methods, and even the interpretation. So positivist research design often involves structured methodologies and statistical analysis. You see, just by knowing your philosophical paradigm, where you are sitting, it is already telling you the kind of instruments you'll use and the analysis. Interpretivist and constructivist designs tend to use flexible qualitative methods that seek to understand participants' perspectives. I hope you are seeing the value of endearing yourself to a philosophical position or paradigm. And the pragmatist designs combine elements of both qualitative and quantitative methods to address practical research problems. So that's the influence of philosophy on research designs. You're going to get all these notes for constant revision. And may I caution you, my multiple choice questions are very well thought out, and they are derived from these PowerPoint presentations. So you better take note of that as we go along. So look at the philosophical underpinnings. And I want to give you 3 minutes to look at it. Internalize, this is what I've been talking about for the last 15, 20 minutes. So look at it and internalize it. Ladies and gentlemen, philosophical underpinnings now become part of your register for research. Positivism, objective reality, quantitative methods. Interpretivism, subjective reality, qualitative methods. I want to jump constructivism and go to pragmatism, practical focus, mixed methods. Practical focus just means you'll use both subjective and objective reality. Those of us who will go on with PhDs, you now think in terms of constructivism, although it is similar to interpretivism, knowledge through interactive engagements and context matters. But don't worry about that for now. But this is what I want you to carry with you today as we sum up our class. One of the things you'll have to learn in this class is that we will use mind maps and flow diagrams extensively to capture, to summarize what we are doing. Because I don't want you to engage in memorization. I want you to be able to conceptualize all these concepts and come up with a reality that will make us write very good theses and very authentic topics, and where issues are actually solved through the research that you will do. The bigger picture is this. I want you to look at that diagram. This is the bigger picture. So we are talking about research methodologies, this one. And don't worry about everything else, blue, orange, what. But I just want you to come to this red area. This is all I've done today, the red area, philosophical underpinnings. And I have talked of constructivism, I've talked of pragmatism, positivism, and interpretivism. But this is our overall journey in research with you. This is our overall journey. And this is what you will learn. When you come to research methodologies, we have just done this red part, sorry. And we have also done a bit of the yellow part. I've talked about research approaches, and I've talked about quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods. We shall be tackling each of these sections as we go on. But I want you to have the bigger picture. And when you have this mind map, you are able to tease out, you are able to conceptualize the whole research methodology process and be able to deal with the sections as we go along. But this should not, I hope it will mesmerize you, but this should not frighten you, because we have only touched this evening the philosophical underpinnings and the research approaches. I want to pause there, and I want you to take down the following material that I am going to send notes. I'm going to send notes from my book, and you're going to make summary of these notes. Not now. All I want you to do with these notes is to read them. Just read. After you'll have read, I'll give you the assignments, and we shall start collecting our marks, because 70% of the marks will come from assignments, and 30% will be the exam. I want to pause there and invite questions, but I want you to write the following. You're going to read chapter 1, and chapter 1 reads introduction. And the big question is, what is? So that section you read, under it, you have the learning objectives. You'll go through them. And I want you to remember, I am not teaching research methods as a subject in isolation. I'm teaching research methods in the context of public administration, because this is a course in leadership and policy studies. So actually, the course you're doing now with me is public administration research methods. And we are going to go into the various areas of psychology, of education, of transport, of security, as appropriate. Now, after the learning objectives, you're going to read the part that talks about evidence-based argumentation. Evidence-based argumentation. So just read. Then you're going to read the area dealing with foundations of research. Foundations of research. Under foundations of research, you read induction and deduction. Induction and deduction. And you read the scientific method. When you get my notes, you'll see all these subtitles. The scientific method. Then you read social science research. And that will be the end. I just want you to read those notes to consolidate the PowerPoints that I've covered with you, so that next week we will start with the research approaches. Caro, I hope you're posting this appropriately for them in the chat.
Yeah, I'll pick them down. I've not finished writing them. I can pick them after the video and then post as you've indicated.
Yeah, but it will be notes I'm just sending. And what am I asking of them? I just want them to read. Yes?
Okay.
Then next time we shall start with the research approaches and then move on. But I want them to really feel at home in this class, that they should not start imagining this is elephant. Huh? No, it isn't. Yes. Okay, I've seen some hands raised up. Caro, pick them up.
Yeah, Chris Paso and Brenda, be straight to the point. It's time for class almost ending.
Yeah,
Chris
just 10 minutes.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Daktari. My name is Chris Pasekale from Turkana County. I work with National Drought Management Authority as a program officer. And research methodology has always been my fear. And this is my second master's. I'm currently doing my master's, not yet, I'm in my second year in Mo University, master's in public administration and public policy. I am currently yet to defend my thesis. And my thesis is on yet to defend my thesis. My thesis is on the effect of safety net programs on livelihood of vulnerable groups in Turkana County, Turkana South Sub-County. And one of the area that I have never understood is about philosophical underpinnings. And I think by joining this course, I am ready for my defense and whatever question my examiners or supervisors, my examiners will pose, I think through this course, I'll be ready to defend myself. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you so much. That's really nice. Brenda?
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Daktari. My name is Brenda Gesari, a teacher by profession. My main concern was on the ethical considerations, and I'm seeing it's already in the mind map. I was just inquiring about permission whenever we are doing the research, and I'm seeing on the mind map there's the informed consent, confidentiality, and the data protection. So I think maybe the Prof will expound on it later in class. Thank you.
Obviously, this is a mind map. All these things Prof will be going through. Every research method that is under the research methodology will be explained. Just trying to now start hinting to you, trying to want you to be able to start reading ahead. Ben Win Namanga.
Thank you, Professor and Daktari. I'm really privileged to get concepts about research methodologies tonight. Professor, you have taken us through the concepts of research, and really I find it very, very necessary on my side because first of all, I'm from a security sector. Yes. As I have been introducing myself, Daktari and the professor, there's a time I was given this topic of that is the unit of research methodologies to deliver to a middle level course at some place in Mali, and it was a thorn in my mind, I can say, because there were so many concepts that I did not understand. As much as I was trying to deliver it in my own way, it has now opened up my mind that there's so much that we need to learn. There's so much we need to do an application of these research methodologies in our area. Again, I have about 3 colleagues of mine who are undertaking a course at Kenyatta University. One of them had started this course, and that is 2018, another one in 2014. Up to this time, yes, up to this time, they have not graduated. So we usually share on what they are doing. Currently, they are doing this research, and they are doing some presentation maybe in forthcoming days. And they were really giving us a way that research is very hard, because they were complaining every now and then. They were complaining, they were being referred, can you go and do this, go do this, your chapter 1 is wrong. So it made some my mind that whatever we are going to do as a research methodologies in our campus, that is the DESTA, I don't know if it's going to be the same as the guys who are in KU, because they are really getting it tough. You can imagine that since 2018, somebody has not graduated. So, Professor, we are eager to learn a lot as we have started today, so that we are going to inculcate. Lastly, Professor, you have triggered my mind in so many ways, as I've told you, because already I've started thinking wider on my research problems or research areas, especially in the security sector. As I'm a trainer, there are so many questions that we usually get coming from the field, that is from the field where we train officers going out. So there are so many things that comes out blaming the training. So as one of my area, I am really want to find out the impact of training to these officers. First of all, I look at the entry behavior, and after training, how is the impact outside there? So thank you for your time, and I really appreciate, and we are really keen to follow whatever you are discussing to us. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much. Well, I think what I want to do is I want this class to note my devotion. When I was talking about humility, this is what I was talking about. We are going to plow through research methods in a manner that most of you have not experienced, but you must walk with humility, and that means submitting yourself to the shepherd, and then everything will come through. I am very happy. I'm seeing many of you anticipating the topics that are already covered, and they're not anything to worry about. We will go through it slowly. We will start constructing our chapter 1 together, chapter 2, chapter 3, with my colleagues as your mentors, and you should have a good experience, at least in this whole program. I'm encouraging all the lecturers to give it their best. I'm handling this and policy studies. Next semester, I'll do leadership and what we call advancement, writing your proposal. Hopefully, I would want to have a small, even if I don't cover the whole course, I would want to do some aspects of statistics to enable you people know that we just have a phobia for statistics, and yet it's nothing to talk about, to take home or talk about. So thankful we have ended for today. I think you have had so much to absorb. We'll pick it up the other week, but I'm sending you material for reading to reinforce what I've just talked about. You'll also get these slides up to this slide that is on the screen, the last one that you did, and please go through them. That's where your quizzes will come from. And also the notes I'm giving you, I'm not telling you why I want you to read. I'll tell you later, this is what I want out of those notes. Caro, over to you, and thank you very much for a very enthusiastic class today.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you. There are so many comments. I think we can finish all the way from devotion to, different, a lot of inbox asking me about even the book that we are coming to launch that many of you have already bought, which will be very key for us to be able to use. Personally, I think I've sat in this class, VC teaching many of these students in different programs until now. I think the first cohort thought that I should also be awarded this degree because then I've been sitting and learning. So most important is that I hope these concepts now that the Vice Chancellor is trying to introduce are now trying to get you somewhere so that now your mind is coming together to understand where we are going. So quite a lot of us done research, of course, research process, some concepts have been introduced, and we want to thank you, all of you, for coming in, including our 5 students from nursing education. So for those who are interested also getting this book, because I looked at it, it's a very nice book. I know Prof is also writing a manual for handbook for you to write a thesis, practical. But this book is going to give you the most important knowledge that you require. And it will be nice that all of you to be able to get it to support you as you read. I was just trying to get it on the cover page so that I can be able to show you. So that you can be able to order it. So this is this book here. I'm just trying to get on one of the emails so that I can be able to show you what you're talking about. It will be nice so that you get a copy. I already shared on your WhatsApp most of this, whatever I'm trying to show you. But it is. My internet is not stable. All right, so I'll share. Just getting you one of the books here. This book here, it will be good to get it. This book is going to be launched. And of course, the publisher is not the VC will be selling it. The publisher, the author is the Vice Chancellor will be selling. The author will not be selling. But the author decided, let me get it to the students and faculty on his own cheap price so that he can pay the differences should the publisher put it on a higher price. But for now, you can get this book at 1,500, and we just want to ask most of you, if you want to order, I'll be posting the number for the Vice Chancellor, Magdalene, who will be very key to you because we'll be communicating you so much of your thesis and many things regarding the office of the Vice Chancellor as a professor of research and research methods and statistics and a facilitator, not as a Vice Chancellor. When he comes to class, he now changes his address to become the professor who is teaching research methods and policy analysis. And then when he becomes the administrative professor, now he becomes the Vice Chancellor. So Magdalene will be supporting him as the professor of research methods and statistics and your facilitator. Should you want a copy to get this book and start reading, I know some of you are far away out of the country, how to get that book for you, or can give us how we can mail it to you on your cost. You can write this number down and order your book, which is a very good, because it's simply research methods, how, the research process, literature review, methodology, data collection until the end. You can get this book with Magdalene. She's called Magdalene, and her number is 0720 87 6448. 0720 87 6448. And because most of you have already inboxed
Caro,
asking.
I wanted to inform the students that I was saying I'm sure this book, for those who are very far, it will be on Amazon anytime now. So you can actually get a copy directly or order. It's a class text, so I expect everybody to want to have a copy now that you're getting into the academia. There's also the leadership book, but that one we'll talk about it when we start the course on leadership. Thank you.
So, and the honor of the Vice Chancellor, so, you know, we've not had very many books being published in Kenya research methods. You've been hearing about Mugenda and Mugenda, and you don't have so much around this anymore. But this one is a very new book. You can order. We have so many copies that have already been sold out, and we'd like you to use it because it will really help you. Should you need an order, make it with Magdalene. Then the VC will, professor will actually autograph it himself, addressed to you if it's Antonina, and then we give you a wish in that book. Otherwise, everybody else who is late to sleep, we want to wish you a very good night so that you can sleep a little bit early. For those already up, waking up like Kina Mongare who have Walter, who have a long day ahead of you, we wish you well. For those in East Africa and Africa, most of the African countries, we wish you to sleep well. So thank you so much. I think I will give one person to usually say the word. Usually we say a total like Dr. Susan, School of Nursing was around. It would be nice to say we've had an honor of having you around. Dr. Susan Juguna, are you there? School of Nursing, are you still there? All right. Maybe she left. Now the Mongari are on the video. Just give the last word, pray for us, and then we can sleep. All right. For those who are going to sleep, and for you, have a good day. You can unmute. Not yet. Maybe a speaker. Remember, you'll have the next class is on Saturday, Kenyan time, evening with Professor again, so that we can pick it. Are you there, or someone else can pick up, Walter?
If you can hear me, everything on my end is clear.
Interesting.
You're faint, sir. You're very faint, Walter.
Walter, we can hear you, but from very far. You're in Kayole and you're in town.
All right. Is it someone from? There was someone from Cuba. Is that person on? Okay. Joseph, were you from Mongolia?
If you can't
Can
hear
you
me,
pray for us?
it's okay.
Yeah, now we can hear Walter. Go ahead. Okay.
All right. Let's just say a quick prayer, and with respect to our Muslim brothers and sisters who are on this platform, our Heavenly Father, we take this opportunity to thank you for the opportunity for us to share knowledge, for the opportunity for us to learn and unlearn and relearn. We thank you for the leadership of Daystar University. We thank you for everybody who's represented here, our families, our relatives, and all those who are protecting us and who are supporting us on this journey. As we now depart, be with us in spirit. In Jesus' name we pray and believe.
Amen.
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 Amen. Have a lovely day. Amen. Good night. Good morning, everybody, with your time.
Good night,
May God bless
guys.
you.